Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Thursday, the 6th of August, 2015. Also Friday, the 7th. We don't typically do market previews for Fridays this week. In the middle of the summer will be no exception to that rule. So this is it for the week in terms of market previews. So let's cover the data that's coming out. Let's cover what we're seeing here. We had a nice trading day stock-wise on Wednesday. I'm actually going to post a separate YouTube video to talk about today's trades in particular, just because I've been trying to tell everybody that August can be a really nice month. You're going to have some clean days. If you find good triggers, they're going to work without a lot of the jumpiness we sometimes see to the targets you would expect. And we had a lot of that today. We had a real super nice trading day for a summer and August session on lighter volume. Actually, volume wasn't horrible. We did 1.8 billion shares. Let's look at that first. Just over 1.8 billion shares. That is better than all but one day of all of July. So that's decent volume that might have helped contribute to everything that happened for us in the day. Let's take a look at the ES front month futures contract. Here's the ES. This is the daily chart, so basically the S&P 500. You can see we were higher than where we closed. We basically gapped up in the market. You'll see the gaps when I show you the intraday action. And we ended up closing lower than we opened in the end, but we did close positive for the day. And overall, an early session gap that we don't love went a little higher and then came back. So for the session, the S&P closed up 6, which is not that much. NASDAQ 100, the NDX, you can see here, gapped up, went higher, came back, and closed near the lows of the session. Still up 34, but remember, most of that was the gap up itself. The SOX was up 7, clinging to the 10-day, or trying to cling to that 10-day moving average and having issues with it. Here's the Biotech Index, which was up 28 points. And again, you can see the gap there. This is actually a negative candle, meaning we closed lower than we opened on the Biotech Index. So more selling than buying after the market opened. Google curled up, back up 12, but again, the gap there, we were looking for a breakout that we would have traded, but the gap up was pretty strong on that one. Apple gapped down in all this and then reversed, came back up, and ended up closing up less than a point. We've been a lot of conversations about Apple and its decline in the last week or so. And the VIX swept the lows of the year. The lowest point, we were down to 11 at one point today. That's the lowest point in the last year on the VIX. But it did close after the sell-off later in the day. It closed at 12.51. It was actually up a little bit. Crude oil was up early and closed down 45.15, basically matching the lowest close from a couple days ago. And you know, that 42.5 area was the lowest close. No, actually, the lowest close we've seen in this move down here was actually closer to 44. So we're within, you know, another point down and point and a half down, and we would have a new low close for crude oil. Oof. Who saw that coming? Here's gold down 6. The trend closed the session at 1.09. 10-day moving average is now 1.18. And here's the advanced decline ratio. We actually closed with more stocks up and down by 457 stocks, shares, contract stocks. Let's put it that way. For the session. Just a reminder that Rich will be back on Monday, so since this is the last preview for the week, I just wanted to put that out for everybody. All right, let's take a look at the 5-minute chart of the ES, and here's the situation. We gapped up big, and that's a big gap all the way over Tuesday's highs. Tried to push higher early, topped out about 45 minutes in. We were sitting on the VWAP, started to roll heading into lunch, and then cracked the lows, and this is where that clean move came, this big downward move. Now remember, when you get a gap up day, it's a couple things. First of all, we gapped up enough that we wouldn't necessarily expect the gap to fill. 80% of gaps fill the same day. But if you get a big enough gap over what we call our pressure threshold level, and this was, then you typically don't fill. By the way, the low, you don't see it here on this chart, but the low today on the ES was within a couple ticks of that pressure threshold number, so it came back and retested it, but we did not fill the gap. Got a little bounce after that towards the VWAP and then rolled again and closed very near the low of the day. Here's the NQs. This is an inverted cup and handle formation. Basically closed just above where we opened, but we were significantly higher and could not hold those levels. If you were to gap down tomorrow here, this would be a floating island. It's a very negative sign if that happens. If you gap up and then break down, this cup and handle formation, the inverted cup and handle, should lead straight to that gap fill from today. So there's a lot of potentials for trades off of these patterns. And like I said, we had some great stock trades for the session. So I'll recap those in a separate video because that's different content than preview here of what's to come. Tomorrow, Thursday, we have Challenger job cuts at 7:30 a.m. We've got initial and continuing claims an hour before the bell. That's the weekly number. We've got the natty gas number an hour into the market. Friday, be aware, big one, the unemployment rate, the non-farm payroll data an hour before the bell. That's also a big number, and that can certainly move the market on a Friday, especially early. Then I would suspect that things will drift off, as they often do on summer Fridays, as people head out for the weekend, go enjoy the barbecues, the lake, the beach, whatever it is that you do, the pool. So probably the afternoon on Friday will be late, but hopefully we get another Thursday that was as good as today, and then Friday morning, because of that unemployment number, there's some opportunities. So hope you have the great rest of your trading week. If you have not taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We can help you out for a couple weeks. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. If you do find these videos useful, please like them on YouTube. It does help us out. Have a great rest of the week and a good weekend.